Sometimes they get it. Amy Comey Barrett does get a W here, and a long list of L's. But nonetheless, a W is a W, and I have to hand it out when I gotta hand it out. Usually when these opinions of the court, or the majority opinion, goes out, they don't really go after each other like this. And the majority opinion here, 6-3, singled out Ketanji Justice Jackson, whatever her name is. She's not a smart person at all, in fact. Let me go ahead and read this. We will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself. We observe only this. Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary. That's like a big middle finger saying, you said this, but in actuality, you prefer the power to reside on your side of the political spectrum. Yeah. No one disputes the executive has the duty to follow the law, but the judiciary does not have unbridled authority to enforce this obligation. In fact, sometimes the law prohibits judiciary from doing so. See Marbury v. Madison, concluding that James Madison had violated the law, but holding the court lacked jurisdiction to issue a writ of mandamus ordering him to follow it. That's what the legislative branch is supposed to do. If the executive doesn't follow the order of the Supreme Court, then they can file impeachment proceedings. That's how that goes. But the judiciary, Supreme Court, does not have authority to make the executive do what it decided on. It says, but see post at 15 Jackson J. Dissenting, if courts do not have the authority to require the executive to adhere to law universally, compliance with the law sometimes becomes a matter of executive prerogative. Observing the limits of judicial authority, including as relevant here, the boundaries of the Judiciary Act of 1789 is required by a judge's oath to follow the law. Okay. Justice Jackson skips over this part because analyzing the governing statute involves boring legalese. Post at 3, she seeks to answer a far more basic question of enormous practical significance. May a federal court in the United States of America order the executive to follow the law? In other words, it is unnecessary to consider whether Congress has constrained the judiciary. What matters is how the judiciary may constrain the executive. Justice Jackson would do well to heed her own abomination. Everyone from the president on down is bound by the law. That goes for judges too. That's a flamethrower to Justice Jackson's dissenting opinion, meaning that she's out of her frickin' mind. Of course, if you see any of Justice Jackson's dissenting opinions or even superior opinions, they're always 40 pages of just nonsense, of just garbage. What Amy Comey Barrett did here was that tell her in no uncertain terms, or even in fact, this is the opinion of the court, saying to her that you're out of your frickin' mind, lady.